Hi guys, my name is Kat Navarro Lee, and I am doing some interviews that I like to call Faith and Flo, where I interview folks in the entertainment business about their career and also about their faith and belief in God and how those two intersect and about those divine moments that they know it was God. Today I'm interviewing Gina Simms, who is an actress and host out here in Los Angeles. And Gina has some really interesting stories that just kept me on the edge of my seat. So Gina had left the entertainment business for a while. She had had some bad experiences, but she felt called to come back later. And the way in which she got back in and worked for PureFlix, her stories were just very like, wow, unique and inspiring. So thank you so much for watching. Follow Gina on social media. And if you like this, please subscribe and share with others so that someone may be inspired by her story. Thanks, guys.
Get me dressed for the day.
You look great, by the way. You look amazing.
Your new mama.
Oh, thanks. I wanted to interview you and I was so excited because I remember when you were telling me about your story of how you took a break from being in entertainment and then you felt really led and called to come back, and there was different circumstances that just kind of came together and it just all seemed like it was meant to be. And so I wanted to hear more again about your encouraging story and getting back into the industry after being gone for a while.
Kind of came back kicking and screaming, but God has a kind way of doing things, I guess. Yeah, I took a long time off. I love the entertainment industry, but what was coming to me in my 20s was just, bottom of the barrel crap, basically.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I didn't know how to say, no, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to make anybody mad. So I just kind of left thinking the entertainment industry was just, there's nothing good in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a job with Radio City. I'm a professional dancer. So I got a job with Radio City and I danced with them for a long time. And then I met my husband. We got married. We moved to San Diego. I opened up a dance school. So everything was kind of on hold with the entertainment industry acting that way. And so I just raised my kids, had my dance school, and then we sold my dance school in San Diego. We moved to Orange County. I opened up another dance school.
Oh.
Had that for about 4 years, sold that, and then my oldest son is in high school, and I thought, I got to stay home. I got to see my kids.
Yeah.
So that was the goal, was selling the school and just being home for really the first time. And I was meeting my friend in San Diego. We were going to a church convention, and driving down from Orange County to San Diego, I was just screaming out to the Lord saying, I love the entertainment industry, but it's such crap. It's such crap. And I was just complaining. And I felt him say, I want you to go back. And I said, I'm not going back.
Wow.
There's nothing good there. And I said, okay, this was my deal with God. I will only go back if I work for PureFlix. That was
had you seen had you at that point like watched a bunch of PureFlix films?
The interesting part is my dance school in San Diego, David White, who is the owner of PureFlix, he used to rent my studio and teach acting classes.
Oh.
I knew him, but we weren't chummy. So I knew David White, and I said, I know his standard, and I will only work at PureFlix. I don't want sex. I don't want language. I don't want any of that stuff.
Right.
And, I want family friendly. Like, is that a thing, God? And so I pulled over in Del Mar, and there's a Whole Foods, and I went in, I got a smoothie, and my very first acting coach was in there. Haven't seen him for 20 plus years. And he says, you need to come back. And I said, no. And he goes, I just directed for PureFlix. And
so coincidental.
I just said that. And I went, wow, David White. Okay. So I started coming down to San Diego and taking classes just from that. And I ended up actually going to the church convention and meeting my friend. And one of the speakers was saying, we as Christians are not called to be in our Christian bubble. We are called to go to the front lines. We are called to the gates of influence. We're called to education. We're called to religion. I mean, we're called to, politics. We're called to entertainment. And when he said entertainment, I knew. I was
Mhm.
like, okay, God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this.
Wow.
But then I had standards. I said, but I will need a website. I will need an agent. And when I said agent, quick as day, I heard, I will be your agent. And I laughed out loud and I thought, well, you would be the best agent. So bring it.
Right.
So I had it. And then I said, and I want to train with Howard Fine. He is my standard. I always wanted to train with him. He's trained
Mhm.
everybody. And I had audited him in my 20s, and he was just so kind to the actors. So I said, I want
Right.
to train with him. So I ended up training at a studio. And this is the funny part was I never got to train with him because his class was full. But a few months later, his class was opening up, and I remember it was $895, and I thought, am I going to get that at? So I guess I'm not training with Howard. And a
Wow.
couple days later, yeah, a couple days later, I get a check in the mail addressed to me for $900 because I had overpaid my LLC from the dance studio from the year prior. And I started laughing. I'm like, really, that amount? So I can take his class and get a coffee.
Wow.
So
So I've
yeah.
heard stories like that continually where people somehow find provision unexpectedly. And so hearing that doesn't surprise me, but it's very interesting.
Well, it gets better. So I took his class, and then after, it's called a foundation class, he invites those who he wants, who he believes can, do the work to scene study. Not everybody gets invited. So I was really excited. I was invited and I thought, oh, where am I going to get that money at? I think that was 1380 or something crazy. And
For one
I
month?
that was, I don't remember what it was for, but I think it was for a few months or something.
Right.
And I got a phone call from the studio and they asked if I wanted to be stage manager, which meant that my tuition would be free. And I went, what? Sure. So I was able to train with Howard for free.
For free.
For free.
Oh, you won the lottery.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
and then, which was even more special, was I was in charge. I was the room mom, if you will. And I would, let him know what scenes were coming up next, who was going to be there, who wasn't going to be there. And I was the leader of the class, and people would come to me and I had the list of all the names, and I got to pray individually for those people on my way up to LA. And so it was just a really neat time of just really being loved on from the Lord.
Wow. And so you feel like this is all confirmation, right? That you're supposed to get back into this. Did you ever
Well,
share this with any of the actors at the studio?
yeah, I did. There's a few other Christians there, and we got together and talked about it. But this really blew the lid off of everything. Was while I was studying with Howard, I took a workshop, a commercial workshop, not commercial, casting workshop with Christy Dooley. And
Oh, yes. Hmm.
so how she runs it is she has the actors come in, you read, and then you leave. So the ones that are waiting are the ones that are waiting to read are waiting outside in the lobby. So I and a couple other girls were waiting in the lobby, and you're nervous. You want to do a good job.
Hmm.
You're not going to get hired, but you want to do good. So I was nervous, and I went in and I read, did the best I could, and then I came out, and that feeling of like
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
was done. We were all talking. We were in a good mood. Who walks in? David White, of all people. And here I am in a mood of, and I looked at him, I go, David White. I said, how are you? And he's like, Gina, oh my gosh, of all people, really. And I said, hey, I want to get into family friendly. This is why I'm back, is I want to get in faith-based, family friendly things. And he goes, well,
Hmm.
I know a
I'm
guy.
the guy.
He says, I know a guy, send me your stuff. And that was the beginning of send me a self-tape for the Encounter series. We would like to bring you to Georgia. So it was so amazing, Kat.
Wow, the timing, right? Because when you think about it, it was like the preparation meets the opportunity. Because then you had trained at that point. Like if it was earlier and you had talked to David, it might not have been as smoothly as this, where everything was kind of
Right.
all going in the right direction.
Had it been before I went in to read for Christy, I would have been in a different mind space of what's my next line? Da, da, da. Oh, hi, David, hi, But it was
Yeah.
afterwards and it was, hey, how are you?
Well, and that's great that you guys had that relationship where you knew each other from something else before that. So it wasn't just like, hey, I want to be in your stuff, but
Yeah.
he knew you as a business owner.
And we were both affiliated with a organization called Media Fellowship International. And there's a pastor that comes out and meets with a lot of the actors in LA and just really is encouraging. He used to meet at CBS Radford and
I've heard of that. I think
yeah.
some people have told me about that.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I knew him through that, which we had a little bit of history through that, but
okay. So are you originally from LA?
San Diego.
Okay, that's so funny. I actually lived in San Diego for years because I went to UC San Diego and I met my husband in San Diego.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Did you have a church out there?
Yes. Well, I grew up Catholic.
Me too.
You did?
Hmm.
So I grew up knowing about God, but not knowing him.
Yeah, a lot of people I know have that kind of same story where they didn't feel like they had a personal relationship and didn't really dive deeply into that kind of one-on-one with Jesus.
I tell people, I remember as a little girl seeing Jesus on the cross in church and thinking, oh, that poor guy.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, wow,
Or feeling guilty or something, right?
help him. But I never knew the power that he had or the authority or even why he died on the cross. So that I got to know all that in my 20s when I moved to LA, and I was actually dating somebody who said, hey, you want to come to church? And I thought, not really. But I went to appease him, and it was the very first Christian church I'd ever been to.
Oh my
And,
God, it was that what they
and
call missionary date.
right? But I can remember looking around, and my first thought was, oh my gosh, people want to be here.
Right?
And then I
They're
thought,
interacting. It's
they have
interesting.
Bibles. Where do you buy a Bible? I had
Hmm.
no idea. I had no idea you could even do that. So that was my first introduction of, wow, that was the first message I ever heard.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. And you had come to LA to pursue the acting from San Diego?
Yep.
Okay.
I moved up with 6 friends, and we lived in a 4-bedroom house in North Hollywood, and only 2 of us could afford acting classes. So we would go to class, and then we would come home and turn the couch around just like friends, and we would teach them everything we knew. So it was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool to see how you can look back at that and then your career now, and you've had so many different experiences, and it's all led you back to your original passion. Did you have
So,
sorry, what were you gonna say? I think I
oh
interrupted
no, go
you.
ahead.
The sound is kind of cutting in and out too, so it's kind of like, oh. But so when you first moved to LA and in your 20s, did you have some like bad experiences that caused you to be like, no, this is all an industry of darkness?
It was, I think it was I think I was 17, and I remember driving up to an audition that I must have gotten myself. I'm not quite sure. And I rang. My first clue should have been that it was at an apartment complex. So I
Uh-huh.
remember ringing the buzzer and coming in. And as I walked into this guy's apartment, a girl was walking out. And I thought, okay, well, whatever. He goes, okay, grab a script. Just go ahead and grab a script. And when you're ready, go sit on my bed and turn me on.
What? Oh my
I
God.
remember I remember like feeling dead inside. And
Wow.
I just kind of froze, and I looked at his television, and his television was a camera to the outside of whoever was buzzing in. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And he goes, yeah, I let you in because you were cute. And I just remember being so angry and feeling so not protected.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you know what? I left something in my car. I'll be right back. And I got in my car and I drove back home to another 2 hours back home to San Diego. And I just remember I was so mad.
Yeah.
I
What
thought
a
this,
predator, right? I mean, so creepy. And the thing is, I feel like you hear stories like that a lot, but I know more so, thankfully, they've got the whole, Me Too movement and
yeah.
more light on that. But like, that's so sad and unfair that, you had to experience those things. And then it was such a point that turned you off from what you really wanted to do.
And the more that I complained when I drove down to San Diego to God, I kept saying, the scripts are terrible, they're horrible. And I heard him say, then write one. Then why aren't you writing? Because those are getting made.
Right.
Oh, you just
Did you go
but
write one?
I'm in the process.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that you're working on projects that you believe in, do you feel like you would also dabble in doing stuff outside of PureFlix, or do you want to stick within that realm, or just things that you produce?
Um, I would love to keep working for PureFlix, but I know that we are called to be a light in a dark place.
Hmm.
Now that I'm older and more wiser, I would definitely stand up for myself. I
Yeah.
don't mind taking a project. I love storytelling. I love getting into the why of a character. And there's so many stories to be told. And I think there's so many, of course, outside of PureFlix. So I think just reading, that storyline description of,
Mhm.
what's really happening and asking to read the script and before you give the yes is so
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also now that you're at the point in your life that you are with being a mom and being a wife, you have so much more to draw from for the roles that you're going to go out for and the stories that you're going to tell.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really fun being older coming back because I've kind of missed the short skirts and all of that. Those roles those aren't coming. I'm mom now, which is fun.
How do you balance, having your family and I mean, I'm not sure how old your kids are, but I know it can be tough having like the kids and balancing the home and then going on auditions and trying to do both.
Well, I think that I'm in a different season that my kids are older. My one son is graduating from high school this year, and my other one is a sophomore, and he's starting to drive. So I love this season. I don't think I could have done it, when they were younger. My both of my boys had agents when they were little. I kind of lived vicariously through them. My son, when he was 3, he was on General Hospital for a long time. So
Oh,
I got to be set mom. Here I am watching my little kid do what I want to do.
yeah.
So that was quite interesting.
Wow. How do your kids and your husband feel about you being back in the game and doing what you love?
They're supportive. Um, a lot of times my son's a reader,
Mhm.
if it's a good script.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, we're just all navigating it right now. Everyone kind of has their own little life, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fun to be back.
I loved hearing, your story of how things all kind of came together because I like hearing the stories where that was definitely God because all of these things kind of came together. Do you have any other things you want to share of certain times in your career and your life where you just felt everything was something on purpose that God was designing for you?
Well, I just remember the story last night, and I was like, I couldn't believe I did that. When I moved to LA for the first time, I think I was 18, and I had the most beat up car you've ever seen. I mean, junk falling off of it. And I was on Melrose, and I remember looking into Paramount, and I said, I'm going to work there one day. And as soon as I said that, I hit the car in front of me. So we pulled over to the side, and of course, it was a like Mercedes, and the most beautiful black man in a tailored suit gets out, and I looked at him and I thought, oh, I did it. I hit a lawyer, and I asked him, I said, are you a lawyer? And he said, no, I'm an agent. And I went, hmm. And I went back to the car and I got my picture and resume. And I went back to him and I said,
What?
I'm 18 and I want to be an actor. And here's my picture and resume. And he started laughing so hard. He couldn't believe that I did that.
Oh
And
my gosh, that's so brave.
he says, well, I'm a literary agent, but we do have a theatrical agent. So I will give this to them and see if they're interested. And that's how I got my first agent.
Oh my God, after crashing into his car. What? So I'm assuming you didn't completely wreck his car then.
No, there was actually no damage. And I think he probably looked at my car and thought, this girl doesn't have two pennies to rub together. So I love that story because I remember the first time I went, it was at a place, I don't think it's there anymore. It's called The Agency. And it was on Avenue of the Stars. And it was this amazing agency. And I walked in and Scott Baio was there. And I thought, oh, I have arrived. And that was my first introduction to having an agent.
Wow.
Hitting him with my car.
That is hilarious. That is so crazy to hear that story.
Silly things like that have happened. I won the Price is Right Showcase Showdown without ever having watched The Price is Right before in my life.
Yeah.
Relying completely on the audience.
How fun. Seriously. Yeah. I feel like a lot of these stories that we have when we have this dream or this passion for something, things end up working out in like weird, hilarious ways that you don't expect.
I always say God has the best sense of humor. The best.
Wow. So Gina, for the projects, your next project or what you want to write and create yourself, what kind of role would you want to do?
Wow. Well, right now I'm writing about what I know, and that's the dance world, and just about a young girl who's navigating her life and finding that you can be bullied in dance class. I've seen everything as a studio owner, from real dance moms to real life kids that are bullies. And so I think that I would like to play the dance teacher in that. And hopefully that would maybe turn into an episodic, and go from there. I'm just gonna keep writing until they say no.
Yeah, well, and also it's like that fluidity of when you're writing from your personal story and you've been there, then it's very real, because sometimes you see things and you're like, did they have to hire a consultant to really find out, is this the lawyer room, or in a courtroom did they hire a consultant? But you're speaking from your own personal experience. So
yeah, it's just fun learning new things and putting yourself out there. I love Zoom. I've taken so many Zoom classes.
Oh yes, how are you spending your quarantine and keeping yourself inspired during having to be inside? I know you're taking Zoom classes, and we met in class and we're continued our class through Zoom.
Fun. Just learning how to really do a good self-tape. From we as actors now have to be hair and makeup, lighting, editor, director, set designer. I mean, there's so much. So just really honing that together and just meeting a lot of people.
Yeah.
What's fun is you and I are like-minded, because not only do we have God in common, but we love to make believe and storytell.
Yes. And I feel like during this time of quarantine, it's kind of brought some people closer together, of really being intentional about having those Zooms with their friends, or being more intentional about their classes.
Yeah, meeting your neighbor. We really had never sat down and talked to our neighbors, and we went out there and sat out chairs, and everybody's social distancing and their dogs are running around. We had the best time.
Yes. So your quarantine is actually not too bad.
Well, my husband went to culinary school, so we're all getting fat.
You're so lucky.
That person to be quarantined with.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so great. I've had to learn, because I am not domestic. I've had to learn. I have an Instant Pot, but that's been a process.
Are you cooking a lot for the little one?
She's eating solids now because she's one, and so she likes sweets. She likes all kinds of stuff, and I still try to make her healthy food. But sometimes she's like, "Ew, too healthy." I try to give her my broccoli soup I made, and she's like,
She's like, let's go out.
"Yeah, yeah." So it's been a journey. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Gina. I really appreciate it, and I feel like your story is very encouraging for different actors or anybody really who has a passion about something and wonders when wonders about timing and family and all that stuff, and how with your story it came together. And it's all about timing too, and that our plans don't always happen when we think they are, but that our life has a specific timeline on God's purposes.
Yes, and I just would encourage anybody watching it, if being in the entertainment industry is on your heart, just give it all to God. I mean, we don't walk by logic, we walk by hope. And
Mm-hmm.
our hope is in God, and wherever He's going to put us, whether it's a in a cubicle or anywhere, we have a job to do. Look for the one. That was my whole mission when we went to Atlanta, was let's look for the one. We had a whole day where we wrapped early, and I had 3 other actors from Los Angeles, and we were like, what are we going to do in Georgia? There's nothing to do here. We were in this little tiny city, and I said, let's go on a treasure hunt. Let's go find who God is highlighting and see what we can do. We don't have to even pray for them. Let's just go be Jesus. So
Yeah.
we found this one guy, and we just asked, what was going on, and he had just lost his wife, he lost his house, he lost everything, and he just needed encouragement. He needed
Mm-hmm.
someone to just talk to him. And
Right.
we became friends on Facebook, and we still talk today.
You
I'm like,
probably changed his life.
well, I told everybody, so that's probably the only reason we came out to Georgia. It wasn't about filming, it was about meeting that guy.
Yeah. I feel like you never really know with any project that you do, whether it's acting or just things in daily life, that if you can inspire, encourage, and uplift somebody, even just like one person, then you've fulfilled part of God's plan for your life.
Yeah. It's usually never about what you're doing. It's about the people around you that
Yeah,
you're with.
right. The bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Partnering. You got to partner with God. It's so fun.
Well, thank you, Gina. You are just very encouraging and delightful. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
love you, Kat.
Thank you. Let's talk again soon.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Okay, bye.